Hello everyone, I'm your hostess with the mostest, 8-Second Gaming, and in today's video we are going to be talking about and breaking down the 5 best legends that you are going to be wanting to main right now. We don't have a ton of time left in this split, so you definitely want to finish off strong, and these legends will definitely help you in that climb. One of the most horrifying modern day problems is identity theft, and that is why we are pleased to present today's video sponsor, Aura. Like guys, just quickly, imagine this. You're in college, and at the same time you're working a restaurant job just to make ends meet. At the end of the day, you check your account with that $400 you just deposited, only to find out that you're actually overdrawn $300. If this ever did happen to you, it would feel like your whole entire world was over, right? But if you had Aura, the fraudulent transaction would be flagged as such, so you can do something about it and work with the Aura team and your bank to make everything right. It's the all-in-one package, including identity theft protection, fraud monitoring, VPN, password management, and much more, so that you are fully protected and worry-free. And there's no better time to get this because Aura is actually giving every GameLeap viewer 2 weeks completely free of charge. So you can test their product and see how good it truly is with zero risk. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description or in the comment section to get Aura right now. But okay, let's jump back into things and start talking about our legends. Now, these legends will work for a multitude of different situations, and even if you're solo queuing, duo queuing, or you have a full 3-stack, they will be able to morph into different situations and be able to help you no matter what kind of spot you find yourself in. But let's kick this list off and talk about our first legend, and this is actually going to be an honorable mention. This is Valkyrie. Now, Valk has been hit with a few nerfs. Her ult doesn't go nearly as high, so you can't go as far. She also does not go up as fast, so it's actually pretty easy to beam a Valkyrie out of this. On top of that, her rockets are not nearly as effective as they used to be, and her jetpack does not fly as long as it did. Seriously, she's just been beaten down with the nerf stick. But despite all that, she still kept her spirits high, and she still is a valuable pick for a lot of different team comps. If you're running zone, then you can use her ultimate to get you to zone a lot faster and get a building before anybody else is even there, or even if you're running edge, you can extend fights a lot longer than other teams because you don't have to worry about running to zone. If a fight gets delayed a little bit, it doesn't matter, you can just pop her ult, fly to safe zone, heal up there, and you're good. She is a very good legend still, and she does open up a lot of opportunities for your team, but like I said, she's just been beaten with nerfs, and she's not nearly as strong as she used to be, and that's why she doesn't technically make this list, but I do want to talk about her because she is still a good option. But now let's move into the actual list, and the first legend that we have for you guys here is Loba. Now, Loba is actually in a fantastic spot right now, and actually a lot of people don't even realize how good of a legend she can be. She's actually kind of hit a spot right now where she has slowly swapped her role from being a support to actually being a secondary fragger, and it fits her a lot better than support because her bracelet does give you a lot of different opportunities to play around in fights. You can use it to be aggressive and take off angles, or even if you are playing a split from your team and they start to push you, you can bracelet back to them and be safe. Being able to take those strong off angles in fights and having the freedom in order to do so is huge and can turn fights so quickly. And even as a solo player, because you can't trust that your teammates are going to be playing around you 100% of the time, it doesn't matter for Loba because she can just get out of situations. And when it gets to the later stages of the game, if you haven't been able to loot up a whole lot, you could potentially die because you don't have ammo, you don't have heals, you don't have attachments, something like that. But that is not a problem for Loba because she just throws her black market down, gets your team everything that they need, and then you can play around that. And with the new class rework, she is a support, so if your teammates die, you can bracelet out of a fight, get to safety, craft their banners up, spawn them back in, use your black market to get them loot, and they are good to go. So yeah, Loba, very strong legend. But now let's move into our second legend right now, and that is Wraith. Now, Wraith has always been a very strong legend. It doesn't matter the meta, it doesn't matter the season, she's always been a very solid pickup. And right now, she is still in a fantastic spot because they actually buffed her going into season 16. Her portal has a lot more distance on it, and you gain a lot more speed over time from it. So not only are you able to help yourself out with that portal, being able to potentially portal dance, get yourself out of situations, but you can also get your team out of those situations as well. I cannot stress enough how important it is to be able to keep yourself and your team alive in some certain situations. In some endgame circles, if you notice that your team is in a really weak position, but there's a strong position open, you can use the portal and her phase to get there for free and also get your team there. There's a very good reason as to why Wraith is always in the meta and she can never really fall out of it. She's just that strong of a character. If you like to play aggressive while keeping your team alive, Wraith is definitely a good option for you. Moving into our third legend though, let's talk about Bangalore. Now, Bangalore is probably the most surprising legend for me that is getting onto this list because for the longest time, time, Bang was such a mid-tier legend. She was always kind of a B-tier legend, just being there. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing because being balanced and being a mid-tier legend isn't a horrible thing, but right now, Bangalore is actually seeing a lot of different play in the meta. Right now, she's able to actually open up a ton of different opportunities for both you and your team and also cut options off from other teams. Before, she didn't really have that big of an impact on the game. Like I said, she was just kind of there. But right now, she's actually kind of taking the meta by storm, and if you want to pick her up and you actually start to learn different lines of sight and how to cut people off with your smokes properly, you can be so effective in fights. Seriously, you can split people up extremely easy with this character, and being able to split somebody up in a fight is extremely important if you want to just snowball it and get it quickly before other people start to show up to third party it. And while her ultimate is still a little bit underwhelming, it's still pretty easy to counter or dodge or just get out of, it's still a very solid way to kind of keep people from pushing you or even just buy yourself a little bit of time to heal up in a fight. And I feel like I do have to talk about her double time a little bit because this does make her an extremely effective 1v1 legend. Now some people do blow this way out of proportion. Some people call this the best ability in the game. It's not. It's good, but it's not the best ability in the game. But still, Bangalore does find herself on this list. But now let's move into legend number 4, and this is going to be Newcastle. Now some people do like to play support on their team. They want to be that backline anchor for their homies. And right now there is no stronger support legend than Newcastle. His revive is insanely good and he's able to create so much different cover at will in order to give your team a solid spot to play no matter where you find yourself. Right now, there's no really good support legend that can do what he does. Now some people do like to point out the fact that Lifeline does have a good revive, and yes, she does, but it's still pretty easy to counter it. You can just straight up thirst the person that Lifeline is reviving, and some people like to say, oh, well, you know, Lifeline can fight while doing that, so no, you can't. If you try to thirst somebody that Lifeline is reviving and she goes to fight you, she has just singled herself out and she is a very easy kill. If she wants to overextend to try to get you to not thirst somebody, she has just kind of killed herself in doing so. And Gibraltar has also fallen out of meta quite a lot recently. His bubble's still very strong, his ultimate's still very strong, but there are 3 different counters in the meta to Gibraltar, and he's not as good in any situation as he used to be. He is extremely situational, and those situations come up very rarely. It's kind of actually very easy to counter Gibraltar now. But Newcastle does not get countered very easily, and he has something that no support does. He has mobility. He can play split from his team. He can get the enemies to be a little bit too overconfident, try to push them, get themselves singled out, have your team absolutely beam them while you use your ultimate to jump back to them and be safe. This legend is so strong and so slept on. I promise you guys, if you actually learn him and learn him well, he will do wonders for you in climbing. But now let's talk about number 5 on this list, and that is Mad Maggie. Now right now the meta in Apex is very skirmishy. People love to be fighting, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but not a lot of people really do it well. They don't have the legend to kind of back them up in those fights, but this is where Mad Maggie wants to be. She is kind of doing exactly what Fuse wants to do, just a lot better. Fuse likes to create chaos, but his knuckle cluster is not very scary, so it doesn't really do the job effectively. But Mad Maggie's riot drill and her wrecking ball are both extremely scary, and while the wrecking ball does have a few glitches here and there, it's still very good and a very good deterrent. And her riot drill makes it so it's very hard for people to play around cover. If you absolutely beam someone and they drop to like 30 health, they get very upset because they can't play around cover, they can't heal. It takes them out of the fight for a very long time, and it turns it into a 3v2 for that time that they are healing. The amount of chaos and real estate that Mad Maggie can take away from enemy teams while also giving your team a speed boost to get on top of them is so good. And while shotguns aren't as good as they used to be, they're still pretty good in the meta, and Mad Maggie loves running a shotgun because it makes her a lot faster, and that movement in fights can save your life. But let me know your favorite legends to climb with in the comments down below, and if you guys want to stay up to date with the latest and greatest Apex Legends tips, tricks, and news, do not forget to smash that like and subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. Once again, I'm 8 Gaming, and I'll see you guys in the next one.